let's wrap this up on this apprentice thing. Some bricklaying bosses just do not train apprentices. They just don't. They're too dysfunctional to do that. And not every hard boss is strong either, underneath. Some are just cruel men hiding inside the trade culture. And it's not the real culture. It's not the way that the bricklaying should be. Bricklaying should be professional, not a pack of dysfunctional people that like to drink piss and smoke themselves to death. A section of the bricklaying industry has wrongly baptised dysfunctional behaviour, humiliation, exploitation, and skill withholding as making apprentices tough, when in reality it is often cowardness, laziness, and the misuse of power against young workers who cannot easily fight back. So point number one, dysfunctional abuse is not old school strength. It's not. It's failed modern leadership. It's failed modern leadership. Here's a statistic. Survivors across construction industries in Australia and the UK have found that around 30 to 40% of apprentices who report having dysfunctional bosses or repeated verbal aggression directed at them during their training years, there's 30 to 40% of these people, and you'd know it. And a lot of this stress comes toward the apprentice and is aimed at the apprentice because the boss hasn't priced his job right. The number alone should make the industry stop pretending this is rare. Some bricklaying bosses behave as if shouting, belittling and humiliating apprentices proves they care about standards. But a man who cannot teach without intimidation is not demonstrating strength. He is demonstrating his limitations. He lacks the patience, he lacks the clarity, and the discipline required to form another tradesman properly. So instead of teaching, he dominates. Instead of correcting, he humiliates. The trade has a bad habit of praising these men as old school, but they're old fools. And many of them are simply emotionally undisciplined, dysfunctional men who feel most powerful when standing over someone younger or less secure. Teaching point number 2. Many apprentices are being used as cheap labour under a false training label. In Australia, construction apprenticeship non-completion rates often sit above 50%, meaning more than half of the apprentices who begin do not finish. So when you ask why apprentices leave, the answers are painfully familiar. Poor supervision, lack of real training, and a hostile or negligent site culture, because hostility can be demonstrated through negligence, and that negligence is not training the apprentice for what he signed up for. One of the ugliest realities in parts of the trade is that some employers do not really want apprentices. They want low-cost labour. I'm going to read that again. One of the ugliest realities in parts of the trade, the construction industry, is that some or most of the employers do not really want apprentices. They want low-cost labour. So the apprentice spends years carrying bricks, mixing mud, cleaning up, and absorbing abuse while being told he is learning the trade. In reality, he is being stalled from the trade, withheld from the trade. The employer gains production at a discount cost, wage, while the apprentice loses years of skill development that he can't make back. The trade then complains about labour shortages while actively driving away the next generation. So here's an example. An apprentice starts at 17, keen to learn the trade. The boss believes strongly in toughening them up. Year one looks like this: constant shouting, humiliation in front of the crew, endless labouring, and almost no time on the trowel, because apparently that's toughening these people up. My point on that is you're supposed to interview these people before you give them a start to see if they're tough enough or not before they start. So the apprentice is repeatedly told, carry bricks first, you're not ready. By year two, the pattern continues. He's still mixing mud, moving bricks and cleaning up. When he asks to lay bricks, he is mocked or told he is too slow. Any wonder he hasn't been shown. He begins making mistakes under the pressure if he gets the trowel in his hand, because he has never been properly taught. And those mistakes trigger more yelling and more justification for them to be on the trowel and moving bricks. So the apprentice's confidence drops. The dysfunctional attitude coming out of the boss worsens. And by year three, the apprentice stops asking questions, because every question leads to humiliation. The site becomes something he survives, not something he learns from. And eventually he either quits or finds another job or does something else. Then the usual three-part lie appears from the boss. The apprentice leaves the construction entirely. The boss complains that young people are lazy, and that's not justifiable, because the boss is supposed to interview and make sure that these people are strong enough, and if he's got that wrong, that's on him as well. And the industry loses another potential bricklayer. So nothing about that income or outcome provides the trade or improves the trade. No skill was built, no worthwhile toughness was formed, and only resentment, hesitation, and lost potential were produced. The boss thinks he's upheld the standards, but in reality, if put in front of a board of directors or something, he failed at the central responsibility of a tradesman, forming the next generation of tradesmen. Point number 3. The cruelty is often selective, which exposes the cowardice underneath it. Research into workplace bullying consistently shows that most bullying flows downward through hierarchy, targeting those with the least authority or security. Construction sites are no exception. Many of the bosses who roar at apprentices do not speak the same way to builders, inspectors, or clients. Their aggression is carefully aimed at the safest target. Apprentices are younger, less experienced, and financially dependent on the boss. They are the least able to push back. The pattern exposes the truth behind the behaviour, and this is not simply just job pressure or rough humour. It is controlled aggression directed at those least able to defend themselves, and one of the worst uses of this is silence. In plain language, it is bullying, and the industry has allowed that bullying to hide behind phrases like earning your stripes, they're not tough enough, we've got to toughen them up, and all this sort of stuff's gone on since the start of the trade, but for mine, far too long. Some practical steps. Call the behaviour by its proper name. Stop calling dysfunctional leadership toughening people up, and stop calling exploitation training. Number 2, judge every boss by apprentice outcome. Can the apprentice actually lay, set out, hold the line, keep gauge and improve under pressure, or has he just become a frightened labourer? Refuse trade mythology that protects abusers. That's how it was taught. Is not a defence. It is often a confession that damage has been passed on through the generation. On to the next. Restore the real standard. Hard expectations, direct correction, repeated skill development, and zero tolerance for humiliation as entertainment. Point number 5, expose the moral issue clearly. The test of a man is not how loud he is on sight. The test is what happens to weaker people under his authority. Is he going to produce a qualified apprentice? Hopefully better than himself. Reflection question. When a boss says he's making apprentices tough, is he truly forming men, or is he simply enjoying power over those who cannot answer back? 7-day challenge. For 7 days, write down every behaviour on site that gets excused as just the trade. Then divide the list into 2 columns: real training and abuse protected by tradition. Be honest enough to see the difference. Proverb. A man cannot train an apprentice without bullying him. A man who cannot train an apprentice without bullying him is not preserving the trade. He is disgracing it. And in closing, the bricklaying trade does not need softer standards. It needs cleaner men. Men that aren't dysfunctional in leadership roles. It needs bosses who can teach without degrading, correct without humiliating, and lead without feeding on weaknesses. Until that happens, some men in the industry will keep calling themselves hard while behaving like cowards, and the trade will keep paying the price. I'm Dr. J.W. Ayub, otherwise known as Pro Ricky. I'll see you in the next one.